I want you to think about the last time someone asked you what you do. Not at a networking event, not on a forum, just a normal conversation. Someone you just met and they ask, "So what do you do?" And you froze. Just for a second, not because you don't know, but because you know exactly what you've done. And you're terrified of how it will sound if you say it out loud. So instead, you say something smaller, something softer, something that won't make them uncomfortable. "Oh, I'm just building a little business. I do some coaching on the side, nothing major. Oh, I'm working on a project, still trying to figure it out." And the whole time you're talking, there's a voice in your head screaming at you, screaming the truth. And for me, it would sound like this. I've been documenting this for 17 years. I have a full framework. I've built digital products. I'm launching a course. I have research findings. This is real. This matters. But you don't say that. Because saying that feels like arrogance, like bragging, like too much. So you shrink back, you minimize, you make yourself smaller so they feel comfortable. And you walk away from that conversation feeling like you just lied about who you really are. And that right there, that is what we're talking about today. Now let's get into this week's episode. Welcome back. Hi, I'm Shay, capacity strategist and researcher, and you're listening to Ess and Flow by Shay, Too Much for the Room. This is the podcast for high capacity people who think deeper, build differently, and have spent too long shrinking to fit spaces that were never designed to hold them. You were never too much. The room was just too small. You found your room. Welcome in. Today, we're getting into why claiming what you've done feels like arrogance, why high capacity people minimize their own milestones, what it costs you when you stay small, and how to finally stop shrinking. This is an Essence episode. This is identity work, and it's going to hit hard. But you'll be okay because we're in this together. Now let's get into it. I want to paint a picture for you of what minimizing your milestones actually looks like in practice. So let's just say you're at a networking event and someone asks you, "What do you do?" And you say something like this: "Oh, I just do some coaching on the side, nothing major." But here's what you don't say. You've been refining your methodology for 5 years. You have 12 active clients. You've helped 3 people completely rebuild their businesses from the ground up. You charge $150 an hour and you're booked solid. That's not just some coaching on the side. That's a functioning coaching practice. But you minimized it. Or you're a graphic designer. Someone asks you, "What do you do?" And you say, "Oh, I just do some freelance design work here and there when I have time." And what you don't say is that you have a full client roster. You've designed brand identities for 8 businesses. You built a design system that one of your clients is still using even 3 years later. You've been doing this for a decade. Again, that's not some freelance work. That's a design practice with a portfolio and proven results. But you made it sound casual, optional even, small. This is what it looks like when I minimize myself. If someone asks about my education, I would say I have a bachelor's in psychology, and a master's in leadership, but I didn't get a chance to finish my doctorate, so it's not like I'm actually really qualified. And what that translates to is that I have 2 graduate degrees in doctoral level training. I am qualified, but I minimized it because not having the PhD after my name made me feel like I wasn't allowed to claim expertise. You see the pattern? You take what you've actually done and you shrink it. You soften it. You make it smaller so it doesn't feel like you're claiming too much. And here's the thing. You've been doing it for so long that you don't even recognize it anymore. You don't even notice. It's automatic. It's become a part of your nature. When someone asks, you minimize it and you repeat. But I want you to feel what that cost you. Not later in the episode, right now. Every time you minimize your milestones, you are teaching yourself and everyone else that is listening that what you've done doesn't matter. That it's not worth claiming. That you're not allowed to take up space with the truth of what you've built. That is the pattern. And it's breaking you. Now let me tell you why you do this. Because it's not random. It's not weak. And it's not your fault. See, you were taught to minimize. And that's where we're starting. If you're a high capacity woman like me, you learned early on that claiming what you've done comes with consequences. Maybe you raised your hand too much in class and got labeled as a know-it-all. Maybe you told your family about an accomplishment and someone said, don't get a big head now. Maybe you watched what happened to other women who spoke confidently about their work. They got called aggressive, arrogant, or full of themselves. So you learned, you watched, and you decided, whether consciously or not, that staying small was safer than taking up space. I'm going to say that again. You've learned and watched and decided that staying small was much safer than taking up space. You were taught that humility means downplaying your accomplishments. If you're really good at something, you shouldn't have to say it. Confident women are too much. People will like you more if you don't make them feel uncomfortable with your success. Stating what you've done is bragging. And the worst part, a lot of that teaching came from people who genuinely thought they were protecting you. Teachers, mentors, family members, other women who had been burned for being visible and were trying to keep you safe. So minimizing became your survival strategy. It kept you liked. It kept you safe. It kept you from being labeled. But here's what nobody told you. Minimizing is not humility. It's self-erasure. Here's what it looked like for me. If someone would ask what I'm building, I'd say something like, oh, it's just a little framework I'm working on. It's nothing too major. I'm still trying to figure it all out. I was minimizing because I believed that since I didn't have a big following or a viral launch, it wasn't real yet. Even though I'd been documenting the research for 17 years. Even though I had 6 named findings. Even though I'd built the entire methodology. I shrunk it because I thought small audience meant small work. But humility isn't making yourself smaller than you are. Humility is being accurate, not inflating, not deflating, just stating the truth. For you, maybe it sounds like I've been coaching for 5 years, but I'm still learning. Well, the thing is, you are still learning. Everyone is. But that qualifier, that but, that's minimizing. Because what you're really saying is, don't take me too seriously. I'm not really an expert. But you are. 5 years of refining a methodology, working with real clients, solving real problems, that's expertise. Saying I'm a coach with 5 years of experience is not arrogant. It's a fact. Or maybe it sounds like I made some sales last month, but nothing compared to what other people are doing. What? The comparison is the minimizing. Your results don't need to be measured against anyone else's to matter. If you made sales, you made sales. That's it. That's all. That is what counts. This is what I call the self-authorization gap. And it's finding number 4 from my longitudinal research case study. The self-authorization gap is the distance between what the evidence shows about your capacity and what your nervous system is willing to accept as true about yourself. And here's how it works. The evidence says you have clients, you have results, you have a methodology. You've been doing this for years. You are qualified. But your nervous system says, if you say that out loud, people will think you're arrogant and full of yourself. Stay small, stay safe, and you'll be okay. And the gap between those two things, that's where you're stuck. You know what you've done. You just don't believe you're allowed to claim it. That gap didn't come from you. It was taught to you by a culture that tells women to shrink, by experiences that punished you for being visible, by people who meant well but didn't know they were teaching you to erase yourself. But here's what I need you to hear clearly. That gap isn't permanent, and closing it is the work. Now let me show you what minimizing actually cost you. Because this is not harmless. This is not just being humble. This has real, measurable consequences for your work and your capacity. Cost number 1, your work stays hidden. When you minimize what you've built, people believe you. If you say it's just some coaching on the side, they take you at your word. They don't dig deeper. They don't ask questions. They don't think to refer clients to you or share your work with others who need it. In the framework you've been refining for 5 years, the methodology that could actually help someone, it stays invisible. Not because it's not good enough, but because you told them it wasn't worth paying attention to. Now, I did this with Essence Flow. I'd say, I'm just working on a little framework when someone asked. Or, I'm just working on a little business, a business idea. And they'd nod politely and move on. Because I told them it was little. I told them it wasn't a big deal. So what did they do? They believed me. And the people who actually needed the work, they never found it. Because I kept it hidden by minimizing it. Cost number 2, you reinforce the belief that you're not allowed to take up space. Every time you shrink, you are training your nervous system that the truth of who you are is too much. That claiming what you've done is dangerous. That staying small is the only way to stay safe. And that belief compounds. It gets louder, it gets harder to break until eventually you can't claim anything, even when you desperately want to. Because your nervous system has been trained for years to keep you small. Maybe you've noticed this. You open your mouth to state your credentials clearly, and your throat tightens. Or you start to share a win and immediately follow it with a qualifier. Or you write the confident version of your bio and then delete it and write a softer one. That's not humility. That's your nervous system protecting you from the perceived danger of being visible. And every time you obey that signal, you make it stronger. And that's how it was for me in the beginning of my journey, especially with my podcast. I started this off, being soft, being gentle, being for my audience and wanting to talk to them and wanting to be their peer and not wanting to be an authoritative figure or speaking from authority, etc., etc., etc. And all that did was quiet my voice. All that did was make me try to fight harder to figure out what type of podcast I'm going to do and to be able to stand up and not be fearful in what it is that I have to say. And now I speak a lot more bolder, which at times is still a little nerve-wracking. It's still surprising to me. Because once again, we've been taught that if we stay small, we are safe. And with Essence Flow, I tried to stay safe. And that did nothing for me. And again, every time we obey that signal to stay small, we make it stronger. And we stay small. Cost number 3. You attract the wrong people and repel the right ones. The people who need your work are looking for authority. For someone who knows what they're doing and can say it clearly. For someone who has done the work and is willing to claim it. But when you minimize, you signal uncertainty. You signal that maybe this isn't real. Maybe it's not tested. Maybe it's not worth the investment. And the people who have trusted you, they move on. They find someone else who is willing to claim their expertise confidently. And you're left wondering why your work isn't converting. Meanwhile, the people who do stay, sometimes are the one or ones who need you to stay small. Who are more comfortable with you when you're not fully visible. Who wouldn't know what to do with the full version of you. That's not the audience you're trying to build. And again, a great example of that is me building my YouTube channel. Even with trying to find the right words to say, to not feel like I am this authoritative figure trying to control, trying to manipulate, all of those just different ideas or ideals about being a leader and being able to speak to my expertise. I didn't want to do that. I was uncomfortable doing that. However, I had to start over. I literally restarted my entire YouTube channel over. I have 76 videos that are unlisted because I was trying to stay safe. I saved those videos as a way for me to see where I started from. But now, I'm much more bolder, matter of fact, and stronger. And I'm not minimizing myself to fit anywhere else except for in the room that I built. Cost number 4. You don't get the opportunities you've earned. When someone is looking for a speaker, a collaborator, a teacher, a strategist, they're not looking for someone who says, I'm just working on a little thing. They're looking for someone who can confidently say, I've built a framework. I've documented the research. I can teach this. I can help people build businesses. I can coach people to build a better life for themselves. But you don't say that because it feels like it's too much. So the opportunity then goes to someone else. Someone who is willing to claim what they've done, even if they've done less than you. I know that stings a little bit, but it's so true. You've earned the opportunity. You have the credentials, the experience, the results. But you minimize yourself so much that you put yourself out of the room before they could even consider you. That is the cost. Not abstract, not theoretical, real. And it's happening to you right now, every time you minimize. Now, let me give you the distinction that breaks this wide open. Arrogance is claiming what you haven't done. Authority is claiming what you have. So I'm going to read that again because this is the entire episode. Arrogance is claiming what you haven't done. And authority is claiming what you have. If you say, I'm an expert, and you've never done the work, that's arrogance. If you say, I'm an expert, and you have 17 years of documented lived research, 2 graduate degrees, 6 research findings, a full framework, and a functional business, honey, that's not arrogance. That's accuracy. Arrogance inflates. Authority states. Arrogance needs to convince you. Authority just tells you what's true. Arrogance compensates for insecurity. Authority comes from evidence. And here's the thing most people miss. You are not responsible for how other people respond to your authority. You're only responsible for you. Some people will call you arrogant no matter what you say. Not because you are, but because your confidence makes them uncomfortable. Because they've been taught the same lie you were taught, that women who claim their work are too much. And when you minimize to make them comfortable, you are sacrificing your truth to manage their discomfort. Please tell me you're hearing me. Again, that is not humility. That is people pleasing. And it will destroy your capacity to build anything real. So here's the permission I want to give you today. You are allowed to claim what you've done out loud. Say it with your chest without softening it, without qualifying it, without making it smaller so other people feel bigger. If you built it, you can say it. If you researched it, you can say you researched it. If you spent 17 years documenting it, you can say you spent 17 years documenting it. It is not arrogance. It is authority. And it is yours to claim. So then how do you actually do this? How do you go from minimizing to claiming without feeling like you're betraying everything you've been taught? Let me give you the practice. 5 steps. And I'm going to show you what it looked like for me so you can see how to apply it for yourself. Step 1. Write down what you've actually done. Not what you think you should say. Not the minimized version. The real one. Sit down, open a document, take out your notes on your phone, and write out your actual credentials, your actual experience, your actual result. No qualifiers, no buts, just facts. For you, that might look like, I'm a certified life coach with 5 years of client experience. I've worked with 50 plus clients. I specialize in helping women navigate career transitions. I have a methodology I've been refining since 2020. I charge $150 per session and I'm consistently booked. Or I'm a graphic designer with 10 years of experience. I've designed brand identities for 15 businesses across 4 industries. One of my clients is still using the same design system I built for them even 3 years later. I have a portfolio and a full client roster. Now write yours, the true version. And here is mine as an example. I'm Shay Thomas, capacity strategist and researcher. I have a bachelor's in psychology with a concentration in counseling and a minor in behavioral health services coordination. I have a master's degree in leadership with a concentration in community leadership. I completed doctoral level coursework in organizational leadership. I've spent 17 years documenting why high capacity people burn out building businesses designed for average capacity people. I have 6 named research findings. I built a proprietary framework called Essence Flow. I've created 8 digital products. I host a podcast. I'm launching a $1,500 adaptive experience in August of 2026. That's the truth. Not inflated, not minimized. Accurate. Step 2. Practice saying it out loud. Not to anyone else just yet. Just yourself, in the mirror, on a voice memo, alone in your car. Say it until it stops feeling foreign, until it stops feeling like arrogance, until it just feels like facts. I practiced mine for weeks before I ever said it to another person. And I mean that literally. I would literally sit at my desk after my little one went to sleep, and I would say it out loud over and over again. I would put it in all of my scripts. I would try to say it and be honest with myself until my nervous system stopped trying to make me add a qualifier at the end. You need to do the same thing, because the first 50 times you say it is going to feel wrong. Your throat might tighten. You might want to laugh it off or soften it like I always do. Don't. Just keep saying it. Step 3. Start claiming in low-risk spaces first. Your bio, your about page, your newsletter intro, your LinkedIn headline, places where people expect you to state who you are and what you've done. Don't minimize it. Don't soften it. Just state it. For you, that might be, I'm a life coach specializing in career transitions for women. I've worked with 50 plus clients over 5 years and developed a methodology that helps high achieving women navigate change without burning out. Or a graphic designer with 10 years of experience creating brand identities for growing businesses. No just, no trying to, no still learning, just the facts. Step 4. Notice when you want to minimize and choose not to. Someone asks what you do. You feel the urge to say, oh, just some coaching on the side. Stop. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I want you to breathe. And then I want you to say the real thing. I'm a coach. I work with women navigating career transitions. I've been doing this for 5 years. It will feel uncomfortable. I'm not even going to lie to you. But do it anyway. I still catch myself doing this. Someone asks what I do, and I feel the urge to say, I'm working on this framework thing. I'm still figuring it out. But I have to stop myself. Take a breath and say the real thing. I'm a capacity strategist. I built a framework for high capacity people who keep burning out on traditional business methods. Every single time, do that instead of minimizing. Every time you do that, you're retraining your nervous system and telling it that it's safe to be visible. And you have to do it every single time until it stops feeling uncomfortable. In step 5, now this one I like. Let other people be uncomfortable. I'm going to say that one more time. I need you to let other people be uncomfortable. This is the hardest part. This was my hardest lesson that I learned, especially when it came to pricing, because I was so worried about other people affording my products, affording what I've done. So I would minimize it. I would make it smaller. I would literally shrink back and be like, if I price it, if I made it budget friendly, it'll be okay. Literally just tanking my worth moment by moment, bit by bit. Again, this is the hardest part, but you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. Because some people will react weird when you stop minimizing. They'll raise their eyebrows. They'll say, wow, that's a lot. In a tone that's not quite congratulatory. And they'll get quiet. Let them. Let them. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. And I'm going to say that one more time. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your truth is not too much just because it makes someone else feel small. You are not arrogant. You are accurate. And the right people will recognize that immediately. The wrong people will be uncomfortable. And that's information. That's them telling you they needed you to stay small so they could feel big. You don't need those people. Let them be uncomfortable and keep claiming what you've done anyway. So let me tell you what happens when you finally stop shrinking and start claiming. You build trust with yourself. Every time you state the truth of what you've done without apologizing for it, you are proving to yourself that you are allowed to take up space, that your work matters, that you are not too much. And that trust changes everything. When you trust yourself to claim your work, you start trusting yourself to build bigger, to reach further, to stop playing small in every other area of your life too. Maybe you've been holding back on launching that course because you think, who am I to teach this? But when you start claiming your 5 years of client experience and proven methodology, that question loses its power. You know who you are. You've done the work. You're allowed to teach it. So do it. Or maybe you've been hesitating to raise your rates because people won't pay that much for me. When you start claiming your expertise clearly, you realize your rates aren't about you. They're about the value you deliver. And you've been delivering it for years. That's what trust with yourself creates. Permission to build what's real inside of what's safe. You attract the right people. The people who need your work are not looking for someone who minimizes. They're looking for someone who knows what they've built and can say it clearly. When you claim your authority, they find you faster. They trust you sooner. They invest more willingly because you're not asking them to believe in something you won't even claim for yourself. I've watched this happen in my own work. My own work. The moment I stop saying, I'm just working on this little framework, and I start saying, I built a capacity-based methodology backed up from 17 years of research, the right people showed up. The ones who needed exactly that, who had been searching for exactly that specifically. They showed up. So please understand, your right people are out there searching for you. But they're searching for the real version, not the minimized one. You start rebuilding from scratch. When you minimize, you're constantly starting over and over and over again. New angle, new reframing, new position, because nothing feels solid enough to build from. But when you claim what you've done, you build from evidence, from proof, from something real. And that foundation holds. You stop second guessing whether you're qualified. You stop wondering if you should niche differently. You stop tearing down what you've built because it suddenly doesn't feel true. You build once. You adjust as you grow. But you're not starting over every 6 months because you finally let yourself build from what's actually true. You give people permission to do the same. Every time you claim your milestones out loud, you are modeling for someone else that it's possible, that it's safe, that it's not arrogant. And for the high capacity women who are watching you, the ones who have been minimizing their whole lives, you become proof that they can stop too. Somewhere there's a woman with a coaching practice who's been saying just some coaching on the side for 3 years. And she's going to hear you claim your work clearly, no apology, no qualifier. And she's going to think, maybe I can do that too. That is what becomes possible. Not when you're perfect, not when you have more evidence, not when you feel ready. Now, when you finally authorize yourself to speak the truth of what you've already done. So here's where we are. You've been minimizing, not because you're weak, not because you lack confidence, but because you were taught that claiming what you've done is arrogance. But it's not. Arrogance is claiming what you haven't done. Authority is claiming what you have. And you? Oh, you've done the work. You have the credentials. You have the experience. You have the clients, the results, the methodology, the years of practice. You are allowed to say that out loud, with your chest, without apology, without qualification, without shrinking. The people who need your work are waiting for you to claim it. The opportunities you earned are looking for someone who can state their expertise clearly. And the version of yourself you're becoming, she doesn't minimize. She claims. So practice. Write it down. Say it out loud. Start small. Build the muscle. Because you were never too much. The room was just too small. And you don't fit in small rooms anymore. This is Ess and Flow by Shay, Too Much for the Room. I'm Shay Thomas, capacity strategist and researcher. Thank you for being here. You can find everything Ess and Flow at essandflowbyshay.com, the blog, the digital products, and when it's ready, the course experience. The newsletter is The Capacity Strategist, and all the links are in the show notes. New episodes of Ess and Flow by Shay, Too Much for the Room, drop every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. See you in the next episode.